Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1, Cheryl Elston. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students from St Mary's Catholic Primary School, Noraville, New South Wales. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Please be seated if you can do so. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea for this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Captain William Organ Willis. William Willis, known as Will, was born on the 1st of August 1877, the eldest son of William and Alice Willis of Melbourne. He was named for his paternal grandfather, also William Organ Willis, who ran a Smiths and Brand Makers company with Will's father in Little Collins Street West in Melbourne. Will's father died in 1891 when Will was only 13 years old. He was educated at Wesley College in Melbourne, and he was described as a well-known figure in the Victorian athletic world and was highly popular everywhere. Will Willis enlisted for service with the Victorian Mounted Infantry in 1900 and went to the Boer War with the Imperial Australian Regiment. He saw operations in Rhodesia, the Orange Free State and the Cape Colony before being wounded and returned to Australia. After returning to Australia, Willis took up pastoral pursuits in Victoria, but eventually decided to pursue a career in the military. He passed the educational qualifying examination for administrative and instructional staff in 1911 and went on to serve as Brigade Major of the 1st Brigade Area, headquarters in Rockhampton, Queensland. On the 1st of February 1913, he married Mabel Mary Hodgson in a quiet ceremony at the bride's mother's house in Armidale. Will and Mabel had been married for 18 months when war broke out. Nearly 4 months later, in November 1914, Will Willis applied for and was granted a commission in the Australian Imperial Force. He left Australia as a captain with the 15th Battalion on the 22nd of December 1914 on board the troop ship Ceramic. He continued to serve as the battalion adjutant throughout the period of training in Australia before being sent to Gallipoli. Captain Willis was probably sent to Gallipoli on board the troop ship Australind with Bravo and Delta companies of the 15th Battalion. They were some distance off Cape Helles as the landing proceeded there, and saw the bombardment and part of the landing from their ship before sailing up to Anzac Cove. The men of the battalion disembarked in groups over the next 12 hours, the last disembarking at 9 a.m. the following morning. They were then sent up to the heights beyond the beach to support the right flank of the 3rd Brigade. A fellow officer later described Willis in the days after the landing, writing, "War is terrible, but it has this virtue, in that it brings the greatest qualities of men to the front. The few days of this struggle brought Billy to the fore in a wonderful way. Brave and gay, he led on, with a cheery smile, always doing his job. He was calm and confident and was always ready." On the 3rd of May, the 15th Battalion had been replaced in the front line by the British Naval Division, but remained in close support. In the evening, the Turks attacked, and a heavy fire was heard along the front. Captain Willis and another officer went forward to investigate a request for help. And as they rounded the point into the trenches, Willis was shot. The bullet hit him high in the neck, around the base of his skull. An officer later reported that he passed away peacefully, without apparently any pain, almost at once. His fellow officer wrote, "I am glad to be able to say it was not rashness on his part that led to his death. My loss of my friend seems very poignant just now. He sleeps like a warrior at peace on the hillside where he passed away. A little wooden cross marks the place." The location of William Willis's grave was lost in later fighting, and today he is commemorated on the Lone Pine Memorial on the heights above Anzac Cove. He was 37 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Captain William Morgan Willis, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thoughts in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, we thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.